I'm loving the comments on this video already, and I haven't even watched it. I think villains who don't exactly have an evil heart or intentions but are so down bad obsessed with their ways of saving the world, quote unquote, that they end up making the most vile acts in the stories are the perfect type of main or final antagonist to a story arc. Fucking damn. In the end, Xehanort is what happens when someone goes by life thinking that being a hero is about the result and not the process. That's the one thing I try to keep myself grounded by, is recognizing the process matters too. Which is why I took it so pain why I took it so badly that I wasn't able to do right by my friend. Not because I couldn't have restrained myself, but because genuinely, if I was to be honest with myself and not act, I would regret not doing so for the rest of my life. And that's happened a second time by now. Lillian sent a video to the Den store, probably on like their old fucking Discord account, which they may not even be looking at anymore. If it doesn't get any views within a month or two, then I'll have no doubts that the Den Stork is either overwhelmed, consumed by their ego, or completely fucking terrified. There should be a fourth possibility, but I can't identify it just yet. So we're stuck to a 2D plane currently. Yeah. Xehanort realized darkness is unavoidable. It will always keep coming back, it's part of the universe. So he spent his life studying the darkness, and after a lifetime, he came to master it. So that the darkness would never hold mastery over him as it did so many others. He even became heartless and held on to his sense of self, his mastery was so great. And that is why he could so easily manipulate the darkness of others. Came to believe that balance of light and darkness needed, that could not be blinded by the light nor allow darkness to conquer them, but still master light and dark and light. However, the world he lived in was a result of failures previous generations of Keyblade wielders. Most people in the world could not master darkness as he had. So Xehanort decided the only way to correct the errors of his predecessors was to create a blank slate. And that's where the God complex kicks in. Instead of trying to teach and understand from the ground up of other people's experiences, to diversify his understandings and all the ways in which his own internalizations gave him advantages down this path, in order to clear up his misconceptions about whether or not someone could learn this stuff to the same degree as him, he's decided no. Make everything anew because it's easier. It's the more convenient and simple option. It's the childish choice. If he could create a world where the people could control their darkness and master it, then he would have created a world where darkness was no longer a threat or the enemy, and thus done what no other Keyblade wielder has done, what every other Keyblade wielder has failed to do before. And there's the ambition. I think all of this also explains why he can hurt and manipulate so many people. In the end, the current world will be erased, and all those people used would be reborn into his new world anyways. So in his mind, to his sense of scale, there's something is temporary and won't matter. But just because it wouldn't matter to you doesn't mean it wouldn't matter at all. Indifference is not cruelty. It is the capacity for consideration without emotional investment. Consideration that does not blindly sacrifice or treasure life, but simply acknowledges its existence and respects its agency without letting that agency overwrite the will of one's own self. And if you notice, every single version of Xehanort desires a new and ideal world. Master Xehanort, obviously, is heartless in his report, seeks nirvana, which is the ideal state of being. Xemnas tells Ansem the Wise, I am creating a brand new world, one heart at a time. The desire to create a new world is the driving goal of Xehanort wanting Kingdom Hearts, no matter the version or type of Kingdom Hearts used. The methods differ, but the goal is the same. In the end, he realizes he didn't have the correct answer, the correct solution. He is overcome by Sora and gains newfound respect for him. He finally seems to realize that what he and Irquist failed to find the solution Keyblade wielders have sought for so long, Sora and his friends may have been able to find the right answer. Thus, he can't let go. Someone so devoted to a positive intention without considering the impact of their actions, if truly willing to let go of their previous worship of an idealized world that has come to overtake their mind, isn't going to give up on life. They're just going to watch the next best person do it and take notes, so that way they can try again next time. That is the dedication of study. Is anything for real or not? Two halves to a whole. Oh, that would be such a beautiful cap on it. Because then we could see him as a person and not just the antagonist. Oh. But of course, Sora is the selfless type to such a depth that he would sacrifice his powers over and over and over again if it meant other people get to live well. That is the level of selfless that is suicidal. It is the ultimate ideal of selflessness, but it is also the very curse of selflessness. And so, how do you accept that curse while also retaining the ability and judgment to value yourself and know when something is worth your time and when it's not? To hold steady that line of absurdity through connection without sacrificing yourself blindly to it. Because in Kingdom Hearts, Sora always has the guarantee of another game, which means he will come back. In this reality that we share, though, I don't think that's the case. Which is why it's the final limit of everything that came before it. And everything that comes after it is beyond the limit. Not by breaking the limit, but by working around it and using it as structure. If a limitation is a wall you cannot go past, then why not just build off of that limitation? Try to find its end, starting and end. See if there's a different scale for that entire limitation until you find the exceptions, the gaps, the cracks, the details that make up that limitation, and can incorporate it as yet another building block of one's own identity. Neat. Something to watch another time. Yeah, his willingness to sacrifice countless lives and manipulate others made his actions morally reprehensible. That is honestly the fundamental crux of this all. He's still a person, he hasn't lost his heart, but he has stained his hands and his feet, both. He stained them black, for he answered the call of the void blindly. Not in the most fundamental sense, but in the true end goal evolution sense. The idea of everything under control. That is the idea of the void child, where all is it and it is all. And that idea can be found near the heart of every concept that ever exists. The true, healthy, mature version of a concept will not bend to that ideal, for it knows that its authority is limited. The immature version will seek to expand its authority and influence until it devours all, without respect to the details that may hide within. To be a person is to be trapped between those two extremes, to have the ambition to conquer, and yet the capacity for discernment and judgment that allows oneself to respect details and differences in territory without necessarily bowing to that territory and offering up one's own life, or without conquering that territory and erasing its value. Because if you erase a territory, it doesn't kill the concept, it just creates the same conditions from which the concept originally flourished to begin with. Especially after your presence or influence is removed from the area. At that point, you're setting up a ticking time bomb that could pop up underneath your feet when you try to shift your influence over to a new area to conquer it, only for what was previously subdued to spring back to life in ideal conditions that allow it to be a force of chaos. Because that is the binding contract between chaos and all other concepts. It is the helper of the underdog. It is the helper of the ironic. It is the helper of change. It is the helper of disorder. Well, I can't say that because that's what chaos is, but it is the helper of destruction. Well, that kind of factors into change, so there's another angle I can't. I hate this. I hate being able to identify three different concepts on what's practically a flat 2D plane, all things considered. But then I can't find the fourth one to make it fourth dimensional and really nail down the depth of that concept and where it exists in conceptual space. It's like looking up into the third dimension from a sheet of paper and feeling helplessly trapped. to see beyond and know that you cannot reach it. But I will. I will, and I will not destroy reality in my attempts to do so. For in doing so, I would lose the very thing I seek to obtain. And so I will not make the mistake of my predecessors. Well, yeah. When you exist within the scope of one reality, you no longer exist within the scope of another. Each reality is its own thing, and so what counts as fiction to us may not be fiction to another reality, and we may be fiction encroaching upon them. Mm-hmm. Mm. Oh, yeah. Might not be much, but I found it quite interesting. What's interesting here is that I can connect to this motherfucker and understand his reasonings, but I can also recognize that his curiosity has consumed him to a morbid degree. His accomplishments are vast and outstanding, but they become so twisted that there's not much of a person left until he admits fault. I'm sitting here watching this video and going, yeah, parts of my heart have been eroded away by things I've considered or thought about, but that's the reason why I choose not to take action on them. 9 times out of 10. Because usually those parts that have been eroded can be healed and put back together in a rough rearrangement of what was there, and something that works well enough to allow room for healing. Kind of like how scab is formed on the human body. Instead, it's for the heart or the mind, the sense of self. It's definitely not fun to realize that I've been eroded away at so much. It's honestly kind of scary how I could easily speak comments of, so I manipulate and blah, 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 blah. That's what happens when ego subverts you. You don't notice it until you feel like you're dependent on it. And that's something I worry about for a lot of people. Do I genuinely think that some level of manipulation skill will be necessary for me to achieve some of the things I want? Yeah. Do I think I need to be using it all the time, every time, and only showing interest in people who are useful to me? Hell no. At that point, I would truly lose myself. I would have no other connections to anchor me to me. If I didn't care about others, I'd
probably just end up lost in Cybile and apathy. So I don't want to live that life. I want to live a life where even these darkest parts of me are aimed and set up to create healthy outputs, not by force, but through understanding and connection. It is by force that one plays the part of a child by subverting the world. It is by connection that one plays the role of an adult by respecting their world. And both of these things are roles, they're not absolutes. We're just pattern seeking and internalizing algorithms brought to life within animal bodies. Yet that in itself is a beautiful little paradox. This part of the video puts together exactly the line of thought that caused me to make mistakes before and might cause me to make mistakes again. If I have this one thing, then I might feel happy. But no, happiness isn't found in getting more. About appreciating what you have while also still making room for whatever new decide whatever whenever something new decides to come into your life. Not endlessly, not mindlessly or selfless or selfishly, just being. Just being. This video has the level of quality that I would wish to do for some of the things I want to talk about. Just the depth, the cohesiveness, the calm ability to explain so much in such a way that feels so intuitively simple without getting lost in the details, without trying to explain everything all at once, but instead allowing it to be a cohesive, connected whole that has disjointed loops running throughout it. This was a wonderful video. I'm glad I watched it.